All right. What a difference a couple of days make. So, of course, it's common knowledge by now that Vince McMahon, the majority shareholder of WWE, is back at the head of the board of directors. Then he replaced members of the board of directors. Now, not every board of director member is an employee. Lots of times they're just higher ups in other companies, so I could be on the board of director for the WWE and not be an employee. It's not a requirement. So he removed some people and brought some of his people back in. Okay. Again, majority shareholder. Even though he doesn't have anything to do with day-to-day operations, he's still the owner of the company, still the majority shareholder. So he did things that were entirely within his purview. Of course, when he came back for this, it did a pretty good job jumping the stock price up. So I mean, you really can't be too mad at him for that perspective. I mean, he was able to do what he wanted to do, which was get the stock price up. And when you own the majority of the shares, when that goes up, your net worth goes up by quite a bit. And then earlier today, we had Stephanie McMahon resigned. And was bought by the Saudi Arabia, by the PIF, or the Saudi Arabia government. And it's like, oh no. Well, she was forced to resign because it's like, no. For those of you who don't recall, last year Stephanie McMahon was in the process of resigning from her position at WWE. Why? Well, her husband was coming back from his heart incident. That's what we can legally refer to it as. And she wants to spend more time with her family. She stayed and became the co-CEO because her father had to leave the company. Her father's not back with the company, so therefore she doesn't need to be with the company anymore. It's like she stayed because her dad was ousted. Now her dad is back, so she's going to go through with her plans of leaving. I'm fairly certain, given how long she's worked for the WWE, she might actually want to have a semblance of a normal life. I'm pretty sure with Triple H taking over the creative side of things and trying to do a lot more of, hey, you know what? There's this thing called Christmas and holidays. Spend time with your family. And now with Vince, again, still at the helm of the company from a financial standpoint, maybe some of those things might have gone by the wayside a little bit. It's hard to say. And then the Saudi Arabia thing. And then of course everyone going, oh, well, that means Sami Zayn is gone. More than likely, Sami would have quit out of protest. Yes. What about Kevin Owens? Women's division is going to be gutted. No. For those of you unaware, the PIF is functionally Saudi's version of being like, see, look, we're progressive for a Middle Eastern country. If you look into the companies that they currently have a percentage of ownership in, they have 5% of Twitter, 5% of Nintendo, 5% of Capcom, 5% of Uber. They've got their money all over the place. They have purchased, I think it was Newcastle, and everyone's like, oh, they're gonna get rid of their female higher ups. Female higher ups are still there. When the Saudi government through the PIF buys something, they normally just install people to run it, and they treat it like it's a business. A business that would make them look better by comparison. But the fact that in the course of one day, there was non-confirmed reports that an agreement had been reached, even though most reports did say that an agreement in principle. What that would mean is that Vince McMahon probably had a phone call with somebody, they threw a number that Vince liked, and that's as far as it would have gotten. You still have to go through all of the international bodies. You have to go before the shareholders. There's a whole bunch of things that has to go through before a company is sold. It's not like someone goes, oh, I'm going to do this. I mean, look at how long it took Elon Musk and Twitter. You're trying to tell me that buying a company like Twitter is more difficult than buying a company like WWE? So there's still a chance that it might be sold to a larger entity. A lot of that's because the WWE, the money is in their media rights. They're going to be going through another renegotiation phase. certain companies in the past have expressed an interest. Could I picture a company like Fox buying them? No. Fox sold a lot of their media to Disney. Could Disney buy the WWE? They got Bob Iger. Bob Iger's a big fan of being like, what's an IP that I can buy for content? Could Disney own the WWE? Sure. Would that make for interesting synergy? Of course. Think of all the content that he produces on a weekly basis. Now fold that in with, your ESPN Plus, your Disney Plus, your Hulu, which they already do stuff with Hulu anyways. There's a lot of already corporate synergy that's there. Could Amazon do it? Amazon's looking to buy an IP as well. Would Amazon want, 9 hours of average weekly content produced through buying one group? Of course. But at the same time, too, a company that purchases them would either have to take all of that material and try to make it more exclusive and try to do it that way, or try to find ways to keep similar deals to what they have right now. Who knows? Maybe a company that's dealing with WWE for one show, not on both shows. Maybe they're not at all. Maybe there's enough value in the television contracts and rights to do stuff with it. Other companies, too, are probably looking from a WCW standpoint. WCW, when it was in the process of being sold, their television rights were kind of in limbo and then semi-removed, which is why Eric Bischoff ended up not buying it. Because owning a wrestling company without the way of showing it makes that company worth significantly less money. WWE makes some money off of live gates, but it's all off of their network deals. So any company that wants to renegotiate the network deals, maybe they go, it is cheaper for me to buy the company than to renegotiate a higher network rate. Who knows? But there's also a level of, when you hear these stories, take a step back, take a breath. I'm well aware of the fact that the vast majority of social media now is all about the two words, enragement and engagement. Can I get you to engage with this story? Yes. Oh, that's great. Can I get you to be pissed off about it? And then to fire up a bunch of, angry emails and angry tweets and all of this. Can I do things that make sure this thing stays within the collective conscience of people for a very long period of time? I was like, oh. And most comments were, oh, it's just Saudi Arabia. That's why Stephanie left. No, Stephanie wanted to leave last year. It was a common knowledge. It was a news piece that she was going to leave, but then Vince was relieved of duty. People are like, oh, Vince came back, he's going to take over. Vince still owns the company. He might not do the day-to-day anymore, but he still owns the company. Would he eventually like to probably take over more of the creative? It's hard to say. It's hard to say. For those of you who are unaware, Vince's whole life has been the WWE. Listen to anybody, whether it's Bruce Pritchard or Jim Ross, anyone who's on any sort of podcast. Vince spends like 10 to 12 hours a day doing WWE related stuff. That's all he's known. His entire life is based around this one company. When he was ousted, people think he was going to be gone forever. No, he just left the day-to-day operations of the company. He just happened to have, his son-in-law and his daughter as two of the primary people who were working there. He also installed Nick Khan. So there are people that he has there that he deliberately and directly put into positions of authority and power. Just because he's not there doesn't mean that the owner of the company doesn't still have some level of sway. Have I enjoyed what Triple H has done? Yes. Do I think what they've done with NXT make it actually more of a wrestling show and work as a better feeder system? Yes. Am I tired of hearing it constantly referred as a premium live event? Yes. But if that's the corporate synergy speak they want to run with, that's what they want to run with. It's their company. But the next time these sort of stories come out, just take a breath. Think it through. And don't automatically think the absolute worst case scenario of something just because you don't like someone who's involved with the company.